Hey, creative people. Welcome back to another episode of Creativity Quest. I am super excited today to have a friend and a brilliant author with us today. Yeah, she was making those faces because we do that, right? This is Marcella Burnard, who is one of my really very first author friends. And when I met Marcella, a long time ago, it was around books that are now kind of doing full circle and coming back, which is really exciting, actually, I think. And that's, I think, really interesting information for some of you who might be wanting to pursue that route as well. So we might talk a little bit, if you're okay with that, Marcella, about the process of going back to an old book and then kind of re-energizing it and bring it back out into the world. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I love the new cover, by the way.
I did too. I was so lucky.
I know. I looked at the old cover and then I looked at the new cover. I'm going to put a pick up for anybody who's just listening here. If you go to the sites, there should be a picture of the book. Definitely on my Facebook page at Creativity Quest, which in the old cover was kind of a very stylized, very sexualized kind of a cover. We do that a lot, I find. Do you want to talk about that?
It was very male gazy.
Yes, I like
the lightest way I can put that. And it was really an interesting kind of thing that they're going to put this cover on a romance novel that they mean to shelve in romance, with a cover where the heroine is designed for the male gaze. Like, okay.
Right. Covers are a whole nother topic. That's a really fascinating thing. First, guys, before we get all carried away talking to Marcella, because I have all kinds of exciting questions and things I want to know and talk to her about. So I'm going to read to you the back cover copy for her book, which is re-releasing here shortly, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more. It's called The Enemy Within, and Marcella, it would be sci-fi romance, sci-fi...
SFR, sci-fi romance.
Sci-fi romance. Okay, so here we go. Here's the back cover copy. Horrific torture in an alien prison torpedoed Captain Airy, right? Airy Idyl's military career. Stripped of command and banished to her father's scientific expedition to finish a PhD she doesn't want, Airy refuses to fly a desk. She intends to have her command back by any means possible until pirates commandeer her father's ship and she's once again a prisoner. Perhaps this cunning captor isn't what he pretends to be. As far as Cullen, how do you pronounce his last name?
Shaw.
As far as Cullen Shaw is concerned, the same goes for Ari. Her past association with aliens puts her dead center in Cullen's crosshairs. If she hasn't been brainwashed and returned as a spy, then she must be part of a traitorous alliance endangering billions of lives. He can't afford the desire she fires within him. His mission comes first. He'll stop at nothing, including her destruction, to uncover her true purpose and protect what is his. So you can see right up, we have two very strong characters who are very driven by their mission and their goals, and obviously a little something else happening between them. So it's beautifully set up right from the beginning. And I meant to reread this and I didn't have a chance to do before this interview, but I read it when it first came out and I loved it then. So I'm sure that I'm going to love it just as much or more now. So Marcella, do you want to talk about, did you make any substantial changes when you went back and revisited this book?
In this one, no, there were not a whole lot of substantial changes. Now, the opportunity that I had was to go back and catch all of the repeated words, all of the repeated gestures, all of the things that didn't get caught during edits the first go around. And that was satisfying. The one that really got me, because when this book came out, it was a 2-book contract, and it released in 2010, the first time. The second book came out in 2011. Both books got picked up, and then 3 more. So it's a complete 5-book series.
Right.
So when all of this gets done, there will be 5. But when I got to the second book and my dev edits from my new editor came back, I had a chance to to do some really substantial edits on that book because there were a couple of scenes that, looking back at 2011, I kind of went, ooh, I wish I hadn't done that. So I got to undo it.
Right.
And then I got the dev edit that said, hey, there are 322 plus exclamation points in this work. Could we pare that down? So yeah, I don't know how that ever made it through Berkeley's edits, but it did.
So exclamation marks were a thing for you. I once had an editor, I don't even want to say how many times this happened. He counted every time I used the word eyes.
Oh yes.
In one of my manuscripts. It was really horrific. So
well, that's all you can do when you get those notes is laugh.
Well, after you cuss and throw things around and feel like crap for a while.
Oh yeah, and after you call yourself an idiot, like, wow, did I really do that?
So really, I'm thinking about this in many ways. It's like, I know a lot of us, and I'm not the only one, as authors, after we write something, like, I don't want to go read anything of mine in print because I can't change it anymore, and I know it's going to make me crazy.
Exactly.
So in a way, it sounds like this is really kind of a brilliant opportunity to go back and fix all those things that we all wish we could still fix in our first books.
Yeah, double-edged sword.
Downside.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a double-edged sword. I mean, you can look at it that way and say, oh yeah, well, I get this opportunity to go fix things, and I did, and that's how I'm choosing to go with it. But there's also that other side that's like, oh, look at you, still dealing with these books that are now a decade old, starting over, and it is what it is. It's just, this is just how the business rolls.
Right. So we need to talk about that. But before we do, a little bit about Marcella. So Marcella was published before me, and I was a little bit fangirly about her actually when I met her because
we were in the same. We were writing a blog together, weren't we?
We were, but you were published before I was. Like, my first book didn't come out until 2012. So
right. Well, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. Yes, we were. We met on a blog, and I'm trying to remember now too how it all worked. Was it the second book that won the awards through?
No, the first one.
The first one. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's all important.
So in 2010, when this book came out, it won the RT Critics' Choice Award for the Best Futuristic for 2010.
Right.
Then it finaled both in the Best First Book and in the Paranormal category for the Rita.
Right. And the Rita, for those of you who may not know, if you're not into romance at all, or if you are a reader, maybe not aware, Ritas are a really big thing in the writer world. There's this beautiful little golden statue, and everybody gets all excited, and those are given out at the Romance Writers of America conference, where I'm going, by the way. In a couple of weeks, I'll be hopefully interviewing some authors for you from there, because it's my plan to try and hook up with some people and get them on the camera real quick. But it's a big thing. The first year I went to RWA and I saw the readers, like, oh, I want one of those, even though I don't write romance.
You don't really write romance, yeah.
Maybe I could. I actually was a very bad girl. There's a picture of me somewhere. There was a person behind me after the Rita Awards, and she was drinking, maybe celebrating quite a bit, and she actually left her Rita unattended for long enough that there may or may not be a picture of
a photo op.
Somebody else's Rita.
I feel like that needs to go up on your webpage.
It probably should. There was a picture going around for a while. Yeah, I'll have to find that now, because that was an exciting moment. It's like, oh, look at me. I'd like to thank the Academy. Anyway, so very, very, very big thing. But then Marcella went through the frustrating and difficult and rather demoralizing thing that happens to a lot of us also as authors, where your publisher decides they don't want to continue your series. So I know you've been through that.
Twice.
And I know it was difficult, but here you are again. So, and you have had some other books out since then as well.
Yeah.
I know. So Marcella has been writing all along, but one of the things we thought we would talk about today is, excuses and how they can get in the way, and all of that sort of thing. So you want to sort of talk about how that might have held you back for a bit?
Well, it's funny. I mean, excuses are so pervasive and insidious. and you start thinking about, okay, why are you not writing? Why are you not doing your work? Why are you not doing the thing you profess to love the most? And I'll admit, I probably deserve some kind of an award for making my own excuses about that. I mean, there's always something, I mean, so you kind of know when you're talking about, I really want to do this, but, or you start with, yeah, I should,
Oh.
but, you start shitting yourself. And then, and the thing about it is that, okay, I'm an adult, damn it, I can get this all together. I can conquer my excuses. I can find a system and a way to put those aside and to tear down the barriers to entry. And that's how I kind of think about it, is that I have to create a system that works for me to remove my barriers of entry to the work. And if I can do that, for a long time, it looked like packing up my little laptop, packing it away in my bike, usually wrapped in a plastic bag because I lived in Seattle at the time, getting on my bike and riding to a tea shop where I would sit and camp for 4 hours and do my work, where I didn't have to worry about anybody else.
Right. And that worked. And that worked for you for a while.
It worked for me for a while, and then we sold the boat, moved off, and a bunch of family stuff happened, life. And I've had to continually evolve and change my systems. And occasionally my systems required hiring a coach, which is what I did. I got to be one of your guinea pigs.
Yes, you did.
And it was awesome, incredibly valuable. It was incredibly valuable work. And so anybody, any author, any writer, any creative who's thinking about, hey, maybe I could use some help getting past my own thinking, which is really all that is. Hiring somebody to coach you through that and to walk you through some of that stuff, it's invaluable. It is money incredibly well spent. I do not regret a cent of that.
Good to know.
Yeah, no, I really don't. Hey, by the way, can I provide some kind of a plug for you later? No, it really was invaluable, and still is to this day. And it was invaluable enough that I continue to stick with. You've got a group, of people that you've coached.
Great. Well, and actually,
all work together.
Since you brought that up, I'm going to mention that real quick. The group that Marcella's talking about is called the League of Legendary Writers, and really, what I've done is pulled in some of the things that have worked the best for people, generally getting past their own thinking and their own blocks and excuses to be able to get to their writing, sort of on a group basis. So we do write-ins together. We have virtual write-ins online. We encourage each other, cheer each other on, do some fun stuff. There's meditation that's posted pretty much weekly to work with as far as getting past your blocks and into your creativity, all that kind of stuff. So check it out. You can find it at, I wasn't prepared for this little moment, and I should be. Sorry, I've been off grid for a couple of weeks, so I'm like.
I go to Facebook and I just look up
League of Legendary Writers.
I just type in League and you pop right up. So.
Right. For anybody wanting to join us, though, there's actually a little registration process because this is actually a group that requires a little monthly fee of $15. So you can find that by just, you can try to join on Facebook and it'll tell you where to go, or you can actually go to rightattheedge.teachable.com. That's right. That's where it's at. If you're interested in joining, or just ask me. Easier.
Yeah.
Easier.
Or ask me, because I'll direct you as well, very gladly.
So before, you mentioned a couple things, and I do want to talk to you about this. So you talked about, the one thing worked for a while, going to a tea shop, and then that stopped working. And then, you talked about continually evolving in the process of finding the way that the writing's going to work. And I think this is a really important point. And I think people get hung up here because you may have found a process that works for you, and then it might stop working. And so, that Marcella is very, very right about that. When it stops working, then it's time to stop, look at the principles of, how do I get past my own thinking? How can I be creative about being creative, about my excuses, and then continuing to evolve and move on from there. So anyways.
Right, again, because life is going to change. I mean, none of us ever stay the same, and our circumstances don't stay the same. I mean, it's like I think that 10 years that I lived on that sailboat was the longest I have ever lived anywhere as an adult for any one length of time.
Right.
So we move. I mean, physically pick up and move so many times. And every single time I have to reinvent a system. I have to reinvent a way to work. But the interesting thing about excuses is that once you have conquered your own, I have discovered, everyone else will make them for you.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you heard, well, you've had a lot going on lately? I mean, how many times have you heard that?
Oh, great. Like everybody's...
There was a photobomb.
Cat right there. You have many.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're watching this on video, one of Marcella's cats ran by.
There will be a few.
There are multiples. Yeah, and that I found that too. You know, everybody's trying to let me off the hook with my writing right now because I've had a lot of personal stuff going on and some grief work. And, you know, I think being kind to yourself and maybe dialing back a little bit, you know,
that's important.
Off the hook. But at the same time, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to quit writing altogether, even so.
I feel like it's a question of recasting, right, or reframing the work, and that is you have a choice. When you're in the midst of drama, whatever its source, family, you know, for you and I, it's been family over the past couple of months.
Right.
You can choose to either just drop the writing altogether, or you can choose to say, this is my place of sanity, it is my place of refuge, and I'm going to go rest here a little bit and have a little bit of fun.
Right.
I get an hour a day, maybe 2 if I can squeak it out. That really changed the game too.
Right. Well, and I think that's huge right there. Those words right there, I get to. I get to rather than I have to.
Giving yourself permission. And I think part of it too is, you know, especially when there is family drama, if it's medical family drama, as it was for me, you feel guilty.
Right.
You feel guilty not being emotionally available to whoever may be lying in a hospital bed.
Right.
Even though they don't necessarily need you because they're asleep.
Right. Or somebody else is else with them for a period of time, or, you know, they don't need you 24/7.
Yeah, there's always that but what if, and if, so yeah, it really does become this pretty intensive mental game about giving yourself permission to be the best part of you, the truest part of you, which is to be your creative self.
Right, exactly. And if you give yourself that little space, then you're much more able to actually be there for the people that need you. So, and that is there's a huge fallacy there, I think, with many of us, that we're being selfish if we take the time for our writing. And so, or we're punishing ourselves for whatever reason by keeping ourselves from our writing. We do that too. And so therefore, you know, we're not being our best selves when we do that. And I love that you said get to. That's one of my favorite little tricks, is just making that switch, not a have to. And I've been I had to thank you for the reminder. I've been struggling with this a little bit because I'm on deadline right now, and I have had a lot going on. And so, you know, I was really blocked yesterday. I was home finally from having been off doing funerals and things. And I was like, well, I have to write today, all day. I have to write today. I have to write today. I absolutely have to write today. I did not write one single freaking word.
Right, because your brain is all, bet me.
Well, because I was doing the have to thing. And today it's like, let's let that go. Let's just actually open a whole new document, pretend it doesn't matter. We're just going to write these words. And it started flowing, and I feel a whole hell of a lot better than I did. So I think that's really important. We've talked about this a lot, so I actually want to move on because I'm interested in your books. And the process of, because they were with Berkeley and Berkeley dropped. So did you have to do something to get those rights back? Did they just relinquish them to you? How did you actually get the rights back to those two books so that you could redo them?
At the time those books were sold, I was represented by an agent, and that agent worked for a particular agency. When she left that agency, the books remained with the agency, and I was assigned a new agent.
Uh-huh.
While she was not particularly interested in representing new work from me, she continued to represent those books.
Uh-huh.
So when the time came for the rights to revert,
Uh,
she was the one who then went to Berkeley and went directly to their legal group and just handed them back to me with a bow. You know, it was
beautiful.
like, wow. I kept hearing all these horror stories, and here you go. Here's everything. Thanks. And then I sat on it because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, here I've got them. I guess I should kind of revise them, maybe build some covers, self-publish them. I don't know. What do I do with this? And at the time, I had some critique partners who were publishing through the Wild Rose Press.
Uh-huh.
And they kept encouraging me and kept saying, you should ask them. You said, well, they don't have a sci-fi line. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And, well, they're not going to want something that's already been published. You should ask. Fine. So I figured, finally gathered enough brain cells, I guess, to at least ask the question, or at least gather the courage to figure out that all they could do was say no, right?
Right.
The worst they could do was say no. So I did, and they didn't. They didn't say no.
Go figure.
And then they asked if I was willing to, we talked about the rest of the series. They're like, yeah, we want those too. Oh, okay. So here we are.
Right. So how cool is that? So where you're at right now, we have The Enemy Within is coming out when?
July 17.
July 17. So that is coming right up. That's available for pre-order. You can wander over to Amazon and look up The Enemy Within by Marcella Burnard. And that's available for pre-order. And then the second one, do we know when the second in the series is going to be available?
I don't yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I just turned in, we're waiting on copy edits. I just turned in dev edits. We're waiting on copy edits on that one. No, I just turned in the galley. I think we've got another round of copies.
Proofread, probably.
I've got something.
Something's coming up.
I'm waiting on something still. And then I just turned in the first draft, the draft of the third book.
Right.
So I should be getting dev edits back on that one.
How fun. And then you get to write the fourth one's not written.
I started book 4 this morning.
Woohoo! That's exciting.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. I feel very strange to be back in drafting mode going.
It is.
Who am I?
Yeah. Isn't it always weird to be in drafting mode, though? I mean, I find that even if it's just been like one book, if I've been revising for a while and doing edits and then I go back to drafting, even if it's only been a couple of months, it feels really bizarre.
It does feel really strange. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, for me, I know some people love drafting. Some people, I'm not one of them. Drafting is like pulling teeth for me. I do my best to get around it, but editing is where I'm happiest. You tell me something's wrong and my brain instantly starts going and I can fix it.
Yeah.
But trying to actually get the blank page filled.
Right.
So the write-ins are lifesavers because I'm on a camera. You people can see me. So if I'm alt-tabbing out to screw up my time with, crap like Facebook, you guys can tell. So there is some, there's some honesty there. It's like, I actually have to be typing words. I guess I'll just type words. So you do actually kind of build up some,
right,
past that initial resistance.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I find very helpful for write-ins as well is, just kind of holding the space for each other. Mm-hmm. I'm here to write, so that's what I better be doing.
Little tiny bit of intellectual honesty, maybe.
So, we have to talk about the cats.
Do we? Oh God.
Yeah, of course we do. Cats are, all right.
They're a big part of my life. It's true.
Yes. I have them in my world too. So how many do you have right now? You have the 3 boys, right? The Raven and Corvid and Crow. Yeah.
Mhm.
You can guess
And
what color
Quillen.
these 3 cats are, probably.
Yeah, you can guess what color those 3 boys are. Quillen is my 16-and-a-half-year-old. She is the last of a generation, the former group of cats, and she's the last. Um, the 3 boys, Crow, Corvid, and Raven, were never supposed to stay. They were fosters, so they're foster fails. And at the moment, I have 2 more fosters, kittens that were dumped. One kitten, Percival, was dumped at a construction site here nearby. A neighbor trapped her 2 days before she was going to travel internationally. So then she put out this panic cry for help. Like, okay, I can handle it. And then someone dumped Aria, a little black and white Manx kitten, at our feral colony. I help manage a colony of feral cats in St. Pete, and because I know a little bit about medical, veterinary work and everything like that, I'm their medical.
Everything.
I know. I don't, because Percival just got a urinary tract infection. They found, I kid you not, she went into heat. Okay, so one of the boys, they're all supposed to be neutered. One of the boys tried to mate her. She got this urinary tract infection. I go to the vet, and they come back and they tell me she has sperm in her bladder. Okay, somebody is either really confused about what tab goes in which slot, or the vet says, or she's a hermaphrodite. She has both sets of sex organs. I had no idea this was a thing. None.
No, me either. These things,
and apparently it's not that rare.
Can they impregnate themselves?
The theory is no. She did not know. She had to go Google it. And then when she Googled it, it was not about cats, it was about humans, and the answer was no. So we're extrapolating that the answer was no, but we now have a spay appointment for Percival on Monday.
Yeah. But, wow. Okay, well
Crow saying hello.
If you're only on audio, you are missing a beautiful, beautiful face with big golden eyes. So, well, Marcella, thank you for taking care of the cats in the way that you do. I know all of them, when they come to your house, they know they are in cat heaven.
I don't know. The 2 kittens are still on medication in the mornings. Neither one of I'm not very popular at the moment.
Yeah, well, they're still in cat heaven. So this has been fascinating, as I knew it would be. I love talking to you always about creative stuff, and I'm wishing you the absolute best of luck with this book when it comes out. I'm excited.
I am too. I am excited. I'm frightened. Terrified, excited.
Of course.
That whole thing.
As we always are.
Yeah. And then promising myself I won't go check any of my rankings. I won't do that. I'm not going to go check sales numbers. I'm not going to check rankings. It is going to be what it's going to be.
Right. It's so easy to say before it comes out.
It is.
All right, my dear.
Thank you so much for letting me come on and talk your ear off.
Oh, this was awesome. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you later in the group. Bye, creative people. Go do something creative.